Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, December 10th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right. Well, at the end of the day yesterday, we had a little bit of bearishness in the market. The market was just kind of rotating around, going nowhere all day. And then we got a sell-off late in the day, which caused a spike down. But obviously, we're opening this morning with a gap up, which is kind of a shock. With spike rules in play, that is extremely bullish, and the fact that there's a gap as well is a little bit bullish. So that's a bit of a surprise, and of course the reason is because of those CPI numbers coming out a little better than expected. And so the market was kind of, I think, pricing in some bearishness, expecting it to be worse than it turned out to be. So that's what happens when the market has priced in bearishness at the end of the day, and the overnight, held down here, expecting the market wouldn't get good numbers. As soon as it does, it has to shoot right back up. So the market's going to open with a very small gap, or it may not actually now that we're pulling back down here. But if the market opens with a gap, the first thing we'll be watching for is a gap fill. So the market trading back down to yesterday's high. If it gets to yesterday's high and it finds support there, that is bullish for continuation higher. That is what we call a gap and go. If it doesn't find support there and it starts to pull into yesterday's range, that's just less bullish, right? We did have a spike down yesterday, as I mentioned, so opening above that spike is the most bullish scenario there. Or a better way to describe it would be least bearish, because it was a spike down. It's not necessarily bullish that we're opening above it, it just is not bearish. So it sort of takes away that fear. It's also worth mentioning that that push up that we just had in the markets because of those CPI numbers went right back up to that balance area high. So often when you bounce off of the balance area high, you head down to the balance area low. So, you did it here. You looked above and failed, traded down, got back up there again, failed to break out, traded down, got back up to it again, traded down. I was actually just yesterday, before we created this spike, pointing out that probably the new balance area low is like right here. The old one may not necessarily still be in play, but it was too early to say. When we had the spike down, it seemed like I might be wrong, so I deleted it. But now I'm like, wait, maybe I was right, and that's the new balance area low. So something to keep in mind, if we don't fill the gap and start heading higher today, we could be targeting getting back down to the lows of Wednesday. Oh man, that looks like an instant gap fill. Let me zoom on in. Okay, still a tick left on the gap, but that is a gap and go. So as of now, it's bullish as long as they can stay above yesterday's high. Obviously, the internals are going to open very bullish because of that big spike here at the end of the overnight. So we got to give them some time to absorb that overnight activity. So as far as this area around this balance area high is concerned, if the market can get above there this morning, come back down and find some support, that is a very, very good long trade because there's not a lot of resistance between there and the all-time high. So if we can get above here today, the all-time high is the next target up at 47.40. I mean, there's a little bit of resistance, but not much. Yeah, there's really nothing in there. So that becomes the next target if we can get above that balance area high. But I wouldn't get overly bullish until we do. Okay, there's the gap fill. So obviously they don't stop necessarily to the tick, but if they can bring in some support here, if new buyers can start to step in, that would be bullish. If not, it's neutral. And we would be expecting to pull down into yesterday's range, probably down into where the POC was, somewhere around that 85 area. Okay, first bit of support. Can they hold it? Is that only 5 contracts at the low? Oh boy. Yeah, that's not good taper on the low, so they probably need to push back down there at least once more. Get some better taper on that low. If you're just joining us, welcome. Happy to have you. Please smash that like button. One small thumbs up for you, one giant support for the pirate. Mediterra is saying 47.21. Here we come. Is that where the all-time high is? A little bit short of it. Halfway. Okay, a lot short of it. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping us if we get above 47.07. Come back down, find some support. We're free as a bird, man. We can fly high. J Trader, Philip, Scooball, RK. Good morning to you guys. Design Knob, good morning to you. Steven, Cyrus, Sanju, good morning and welcome. Scooball, I infected you? Oh no. I got my results yesterday. I don't have COVID, so it was just a regular cold, and I'm already feeling better, so at least I didn't give you COVID. Alan, hi to you. Peter, good morning. Oh, you know what? That just reminds me. I didn't roll over. Jeez, I need to roll over today. What is it? U? Is that the next one? U22? Or it's H? Jesus Christ. Jeez Louise. What am I doing over here? Yeah, so now the numbers are all skewed. Somebody had asked me about that yesterday. There's really nothing you can do. You know, you just kind of start making the new references and you just kind of still use the old ones the same as they were on the previous chart. It's not a perfect science. Got to give that data a minute to load here. Mark, how do you roll over? Well, if you're not in a trade, you literally just switch to the new chart. That's all you got to do. If you're in a trade, you got to close out your trades on the old contract and then open them on the new one. Okay, so I'm going to redraw some of these lines here, like the balance area high, to the newer chart, which just kind of makes more sense. That's tricky. I don't know where to put it. Either way, we still got a gap and go here, so it's bullish. New buyers are stepping in. All right, well, this is bullish. This is a gap and go. So I'm not going to fight it. Looking to stay above yesterday's high. Still bad taper on the low here as well. Still pretty low level of contracts on this one. You know what's weird too is on this contract they made a poor high yesterday, but we didn't on the other contract. That's really weird. All right, moment of truth here. Can they hold it up right here around yesterday's high? If not, back to neutral, assuming we need to pull down into yesterday's range, probably around the POC. This area here looking for support. So on this H contract, that's going to be around 77. All right, back to neutral. So this isn't bearish, but it does mean the market needs to pull back to bring in some more support. NQ, look for support in this area where the overnight put in a lot of trade. So that's around the 1680s, 16180s. Look for support in there. And on the ES, there's been a lot of trade in this area because it's been so rotational and on top of each other the last few days. So it could pretty much be anywhere in here. If we break 75, look for the market to go lower. Nor Auto Trader, Vincent, good morning to you. Arthur J. Allen, Good morning to you guys. Nicholas, good to see you. T. Gorsky, good morning to you. Welcome. Happy to have you. If you're looking at my screen and you're thinking, that looks like the Matrix, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Feel free to ask questions. I always forget that for new people, this is like everything I'm saying would be completely lost on you. So feel free to ask questions. It will remind me I need to discuss things in more detail. Amir, how far back do you look for levels? Yeah, again, it's like I keep track of my levels as I go, right? So as a market creates a level that to me is of interest, I'll mark it and I'll leave it on my chart forever until it gets, revisited. So if I scroll down here, you'll see all the old levels that are of interest to me from the past, right? There's not a lot because we just had that huge pullback and we repaired everything. But you'll just see these are all, so it just kind of keeps track of every old level that was of interest to me from the past. But when you roll over to a new contract, they don't line up anymore because they're usually off by a few points, one direction or another. So what I generally do is the levels below the old stuff, I just leave it where it is and I just treat it the same. When the market gets down there, I assume I'll find support or resistance there. But the levels above, I try to redraw, as you saw this morning with that balance area high, try to redraw it to whatever it would be on this chart. Okay, so now that we've started to create some support around this 83 level, we'll see it on a retest. Does it hold? Be watching to see if they can push those ticks back above the zero line at that level. Brian, good morning to you. Cotton Dog internals don't look too excited. They're not bearish. I mean, they are starting to trend down, but that overnight inventory was very, very net long, so they needed to pull back. Rocket says, do not trust indicators during rollover. Yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. For a few days, it takes some time for things to start to match up again. Like this volume, this cumulative volume is a complete waste of time right now. David Glass, welcome. Trading Donkey, testing the top of the previous balance. Yeah, I would say we definitely did that in the overnight last night. Right at the end. This might actually be a little bit too far up. All right, so now we're in that little support we had just created. Can that hold? Can they push the ticks back above the zero line? If not, need a further pullback, probably down towards yesterday's POC, which on this contract is around 76. Alan, how to interpret the data in relation to the FOMC next week? Oh, that's out of my league. I don't mess with that. I just go day for day. What does it tell me right now in this moment? I feel like I definitely have an edge if I keep it simple. Trying to predict how today's movement will affect next week, that's too much for me. My brain can't do it. Trading Donkey, when am I ready to call this a look above and fail? I don't know. I mean, it could be. It could be that we just tested the balance area high and we need to head to the balance area low. It's hard to say, man. I'm a bit thrown off by the new contract and the different levels. But I would certainly say if this area that we're at now can't hold, like I said, that 76 area, we're heading lower. So there's certainly a trade that can be taken from 76 down to like 66. NQ looks like it's testing that 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles for support. It's also just getting into that node of support from the overnight. So we'll see if that can hold. I do get the sense, particularly looking at the NQ here, that it will find support though. That if it trades down into here, I don't think it's going to go below this level here. Call it like yesterday's low. It feels like it'll find support in here and then take another pass and moving up. But that's just a gut feeling. All right, internals are starting to look a little bearish here. We'll see if they can get those ticks back above the zero line. $777. Is BTC in a bear market? Let's take a look. Man, it's just holding itself up by the skin of its teeth. No, I mean, bear market, no, obviously not. This could just be another one of these where it pulls back, goes sideways for a little bit, and then jetpacks right back up. But it really does need to find support in here. Another pullback would be extremely bearish. I was talking about this yesterday. I have found one great signal for BTC is the 4-hour chart, looking for higher lows. Whenever they break a previous low, that's when you often get one of these like waterfall type of sell-offs out of nowhere, is when they break a 4-hour low. So like right now, I would call that like this level here. I'd ignore this big wick. I'd call that like this level here. So if they break that, 46,338, they're probably going to get another waterfall drop. But as of the moment, they're holding it up. But that's why I don't day trade Bitcoin anymore. It's too hard to call on a day-to-day basis. I can tell you where it's going to be in a year from now. Higher. Higher than it is now. Okay, well, it looks like we're meeting resistance instead of building support. Here on the ES. All right, well, it feels like we're going down. I'm getting bearish. Of course, the second I say it, we get the ticks above the zero. Thank you, market. So essentially, I'm staying bearish here as long as we can't get those ticks back above the zero line, which is simply just a sign that there are more sellers than buyers in the market looking for a larger pullback. So if we can get back above this node and we can get those ticks back above the zero line, then I'll be back to neutral. And I'll be very cautious to make a call after that because that'll be twice in a row I've been wrong. Alan, would today's low be cast in stone? No, not at all. It's decent taper, but I don't like the 23 contracts at the low. I generally want to see at least 100 contracts trade. But now it's a matter of support and resistance. Can they break back through this resistance that's holding them down? If they can't, they're going to have to go lower to bring in more support. Oh boy, they're doing it. Well, there you have it, folks. Back through that resistance. Man, twice in one morning. My apologies. Back to neutral. I am not in the flow of the market today. Okay, so now this area that was just resistance, we see, can it become support? So when we trade back down into it, do we find support here? If so, they'll take another stab at going higher into this resistance, and then we'll see what happens there. All right, so now can it hold here? Screwball, what's the record for switching feeling in the mornings? There have been days where I've been back and forth. But that's what, as a streamer, one thing I've tried to work on, I've been doing this for over a year and a half now, is to not do that. To not switch back and forth, because it drives people crazy. They get into a trade and then they get frustrated because I switch, and then they get out of their trade and then I was wrong and they missed their chance to make money. So I try to be very disciplined and only change that banner when I have confidence. But I've been wrong twice now, so I'll be much more cautious moving forward. It would seem the price exploration is not over. So same as I said before, I think if this area here, this node of volume, can't hold the market up, it's a pretty quick drop to get back down to that balance area low. But as of now, I cannot tell you if they're going to find support there or not. You find I usually wait longer to make a call? Yeah. But the thing is, gaps make it easier. Usually gaps give you a pretty clear understanding of what's happening on a day. And on days where the market gaps, often the best opportunities are very early. So that's why I was so quick to get bullish right away when I saw we were finding support at yesterday's high. And I think I was just distracted because I was trying to reset all my charts and redraw the levels, and I wasn't watching how the market was moving. That's what got me bullish. And then I think just sort of having been wrong about being bullish is what got me bearish instead of being patient and waiting for certainty. A hard. I think you might still be on the old contract, 85 to 89. But yeah, on this contract, that's like 81 to 84. This area, and that's clearly what's happening. They fight to get above it, and then they run out of buyers, and then they fight to get below it, and they run out of sellers, and so they're just getting stuck in the middle. So whenever we finally break this area and start to really push away, actually get away from it, the market will probably get a little bit of a push in that particular direction. But they have yet to decide if it's up or down. Ticks are trending higher. All right, well, they're not going to get me into a long trade unless they can get above this node right here and come back down and find support in that one. But it's starting to feel like the bulls are winning here. This should act as some resistance. And we'll see what kind of pullback we get from that. But they're starting to trend up on the ticks. They've rolled both the other internals back to the upside. Kept both above the zero line. So there are buyers in this market. We got value overlapping to higher from yesterday. That's a bullish to neutral signal. BTC's falling. Yeah, I mean, falling back down from where it went up in the last couple hours. All right, so there's a resistance on the ES here, right at the higher end of that volume node. So now we're looking for support. Do the buyers start to step in here? I'd love to see some support coming in right about at halfback near yesterday's high, or anywhere above would be bullish. And of course, like to see them keep those ticks up. Arthur, I made the mistake of going long before waterfall down. Waterfall gave me a loss shower. Uh, yeah, if you're going to trade BTC intraday like that, you got to be ready for getting wipeouts because the volatility is insane. Not unlike the NQ, but even more extreme. Beckham, sorry if I don't know how to say that name, Beckama. Same pump happened for the 69K pump on the CPI numbers. Are you talking about on the NQ? Yeah, I mean the CPI numbers. We know why the market pumps when that stuff comes out, just because there's bots, there's computers that literally read the headlines and then instantly buy. But then once the traders come into the desk in the morning, oh, on BTC, yeah, I don't really think anybody trades BTC based on consumer price numbers. All right, so where does the market find support? All right, well, for the moment, it's finding a little bit of support right around that halfback, but it doesn't feel very strong. Like I said, to get me to buy here, they got to get above this node around 91 and then find support in there. When I join the Brigade, do I get a video stream for YouTube? Yeah. You get access to a website where there's a link you can click each day, and then you get to keep watching the stream. Same as you're watching it right now, just for the rest of the day. Mediterra, maybe we won't see that 21. Yeah, tough to say, man. Market hasn't made up its mind yet this morning. Can you imagine if we just had another sideways rotational day in the same area we've been in for, 3 days now? Wouldn't that be exciting? Just more of this. Quack, 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 wow. How much is the live stream? Well, it's $10. You join, you get the full month for $10. So I think it works out to be, somebody said it was like 20 cents a day or something like that. $0.14 a day, I think. Yeah, only 47 likes today, but I'm okay with that. I let you guys down. I was wrong twice in a row. I don't expect you to like me for that. All right, well, B period inside of A period. That is a sign of indecision in the market. But whichever direction we end up breaking the A period, so if we break the A period high or we break the A period low, we have higher probability of continuation in that particular direction. So that's the thing to watch here. On the upside, can we get above this node we're in right now, come back down and find support? Even stronger if we can get above the A period high. And then if we work our way back down to here and break that A period low, do we find resistance? If so, going down. In the middle, Chop Fest, Chopsville, USA. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you. And if you're a member of the Brigade, I shall see you on the private stream. If you're not, I'll be back on Monday morning, and I hope you're all here to join me. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.